I'm Eric Loy, and welcome to Eric Loy Interviews. On this podcast, we talk with folks from the VTuber community on their channels, their talents, their stories, where they come from, and their plans for the future. We'd like to welcome Jacobsite to the program. Hi.
Hello, thank you for having me today. Glad to be here.
I absolutely appreciate you coming on. Please introduce yourself to everybody.
All right, so my name's Jacobsite. I like to refer to myself as a void tuber,
Mm-hmm.
and you will typically find me streaming whenever I'm able to claw some time out on Twitch,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll typically see me playing a whole variety of things from platformers to getting dragged into my friends' FPS addictions. I do a little bit of it. I do a little bit of everything.
So you got somebody to blame when you're in there. I'm not doing
Oh,
this on my own.
100%.
This isn't me. This is my friends.
Yeah, it's never my fault. Never my fault.
I like you. When I grow up, I want to be like you. Be able to avoid those things.
Thank you.
That's one of the big things. If you can do things and then avoid responsibility, then you're all set. That's
Oh yeah, and I'm good at that. I'm good at that.
So when did you get started with VTubing?
I'm actually coming up on a year here
Mm.
very soon.
Ooh.
I know the date. My very first stream was December 15th, 2023.
Oh, we're very close.
I can yeah, we're getting right up on it here pretty soon.
Yeah.
It's but it's I streamed Crab Champions, and what it was is that I guess for a little bit of detail, like I had made friends with two other VTubers,
Mm-hmm.
which I'll shout them out here, Amaralade and JTH Gamer.
Mm-hmm.
And they encouraged me to start streaming. And so one day I just kind of decided, you know what? I found my model. I've got some just simple setup stuff on Etsy. I threw something together in OBS and I just streamed.
Cool.
And I've been doing it pretty consistently ever since.
Cool. I mean, it seems like it fit you pretty good right from the start.
Yeah, I think so. It's one of those things where I imagine that most people who streamed were nervous to start with, and it was something that I've been kind of mulling over in my head for that I wanted to try and do for like months and months before.
Yeah.
And I was sitting before my first stream and I was terrified. Like I had the shakes. I was just really, I was really worried about how it would go. But once I actually got started, was, it was just playing a game. It was
Yeah.
just sitting there and, talking to people, whoever came in, and I got used to it pretty quickly. And so I was like, okay, we're just going to do this again the next day.
Yeah.
And then kept going over and over until I ended up becoming a streamer, I guess.
Yeah. It just kind of a natural progression at that point.
Yeah. I mean, it's as with anything else, there's a adjustment period, I guess you could call it. But
Yeah.
once you get used to, you know, making sure that you're talking to the people that come in and, interacting with people, it became kind of second nature.
Yeah. Yeah. And is that okay when no matter what type of game you're playing? I mean, or are some better than others to do with?
It really depends game by game because there are times where I get really locked in on certain games and I'll have to go back and check. I'll have to remind myself, I was okay, I need to go look at chat
Hmm.
or anything or something like that. But it's something I've gotten better and better at, especially as like, more people have like come into my chat and everything like that. It gives me, seeing new people and, people coming consistently is like, okay, I need to double check. I'm really keeping an eye on this.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say I'm fantastic at it still, but I'm getting better,
Well, I mean,
every stream.
the thing is to be comfortable with it, I imagine, and that you being comfortable with it means the listeners and the watchers are going to be more comfortable too.
Yeah. And it also, I think the one thing that really helps with me, and I also think makes things a little bit easier for like people who are watching it to come in, is I always take like a very casual approach with how I talk to my audience.
Hmm.
Is like I'm not you and because you have a lot of people who are really energetic, who are try to put on this persona when they're talking to people with streaming. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Do not get me wrong. I have all the respect in the world for people who are able to do that. But I tried that near the start and I just kind of figured it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
So
It can get
it was like,
tiring.
okay, here's yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't want to have to put that up all the time, especially as my streams are typically up going up to around 4 hours, and I've done as long as 12 hours before
You're
for event.
crazy. You're
And
crazy,
s
crazy.
yeah, don't worry, I realized that on my own.
I'm not telling
But
you nothing new.
oh yeah, no, it was I knew I was crazy while I was planning that out.
Yeah.
But but the way that I kind of figured out what was going to be most comfortable for me in my position was I was just to talk to them like I talk to people like IRL. It's
Mm.
like just and I've a lot of people have mentioned how like comfortable and how like casual I kind of keep things is one of the reasons they like to come. And I get a lot of people who love to lurk in my stream, which is fantastic. I love hearing that people like to have me even have me on in the background or just like to watch and relax.
Yeah.
But the taking but it took a little while for me to kind of figure out what exactly works best for me in that regard. But
Yeah.
now that I'm kind of have figured that out and I'm kind of in my stride with it, it's made it not only does it make things more comfortable for me, but it seems to be like resonating with the people who are coming to watch my streams too.
Well, your voice has no sharp points in it, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
It is very smooth.
no, it's well, thank you. I've gotten a lot of people have made good comments about my voice before, so
Yeah.
I'm glad that it seems a consistent thing, which makes me happy, which and also confused because I've never been a fan of my voice. But I I would, there are it's I at least from at least my own streamer friends talking to them, not a lot of people like their own voice. So
No.
I realized I'm biased in that situation.
No, no, but
But
it always happens because what you're hearing in your head is different than what other people are hearing. And
oh, 100%.
you know this because because of the reverse. Usually there's somebody who thinks they can sing
Hmm.
and they sound like Barney Fife and the choir in the old Andy Griffith
Oh yeah.
shows. Like, no,
Oh yeah,
please
no,
don't.
it's
Yeah,
I've heard my because I had a lot of friends who were in like choir and stuff in high school,
right.
and I've heard my fair share of caterwauling before,
Oh,
so it's
yeah. I
so I definitely get it.
yeah, I understand it completely because I haven't hit a note on purpose since 1985. When the
Oh, I haven't,
when the voice changed, all of that went away.
yeah, and see, I've considered trying to sing before, but it's like I'm not trained in any regard there, so it's like. ah,
Now
I've done takes and stuff before, and it's just like what I'm hearing, I don't think it hits a tune,
yeah.
but we I go back and revisit that idea every now and then.
Well, if you're having fun with it, is the thing. I mean,
Oh yeah,
people don't have to be. People don't play games and realize that they're going to be the best at it the first time around. And they go out and they have fun with it, and or people don't go out golfing because they know they're going to hit a hole in one in every hole or anything like that. They they're doing it to enjoy themselves. And if you have like a karaoke stream and you enjoy yourself, you don't have to be perfect as long as the audience enjoys it and you enjoy it.
yeah, that and which is very much true. It is just one of those things. It's kind of like getting started with streaming to begin with. I think it's just one of those things that I'm gonna have to work on it a little bit more, and then I'll eventually get comfortable with the
Mm,
idea of it,
mm.
and then that's when then the floodgates can open.
Yeah.
I can be doing. I'll have one cover out every week, but it
You'll
is.
have the album deal and everything. You have the
Oh yeah, no, Columbia will be hitting me up any day now, but but it's one of those things that I'm still kind of working on it a little bit behind the scenes.
yeah.
And so I'm just trying to get more comfortable with myself doing it first, and then we can kind of ease into making things public.
It's always comfort though. It's comfort and there's courage involved. Whether people will say that or not, I will.
Oh,
Um,
100%.
yeah, you can talk to a mirror. You can talk to yourself all day long. I know I do, internally and outwardly. Um, sometimes they're different conversations, which leads to all sorts of problems. But
Yeah.
sing in the shower. You could sing in the car. But doing it in front of somebody else and sharing all that with somebody else is a different mountain.
It is, and I'll go ahead and shout another one of my friends out. Their name is Tranquil Azora, another VTuber.
Hmm.
I helped them out with doing their first cover that they released on YouTube.
Mm.
And, I was helping them, I was helping them with like ideas for like just mixing and like ear, because I do like to think I have like a decent ear for like music and decent ear for listening to music and things like that.
Right.
And so, I was helping them, like, oh, you should like tune this down and, turn this up and,
Right.
make little changes to the actual like audio of their music.
Right.
And that was something that they talked to me about several times. It's like, yeah, I just don't know if it's going to be good. I just don't know if it's going to be, if people are going to like it. And I was like, look, it's, what I told them, I was like, you have gone through this process of trying to take this first step.
Right.
To me, it sounds fantastic. You need to, and, being able to take that first step out there, and their cover got a fantastic response.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is, if this comes back really good, then, this could open up the floodgates for you doing stuff like this for years down the line
Oh yeah. Yeah.
if you want to stick with it.
People demanding that you do stuff,
Yeah.
and really, and what gets me, Jake, with these folks who are coming on, and I'm glad that we get the chance to hear these talents. Some of them are so
Oh, yeah.
good. I mean, they're all good, but some of them are like really way over the top good. And like, where do they hide these people?
Yeah, and it was one of those things that we were talking about, like, you don't really, know that you can do these things until you like give it a try. And some people just have a natural, like a knack for that, for being able to sing.
Yeah.
And it blows me away every time because
Mhm.
I've got to hear a few of my friends sing and they all are so good at it. And, only a couple of them have ever had even, a little bit of like vocal training
Right.
and things like that. So it's like the fact that they sound this good out of the gate, it's like, oh my God,
Yeah.
like
And artists are the same
this
way.
is where have you been hiding this?
Yeah. Yeah. Artists to me are the same way. They people draw on stuff for themselves, but showing it to somebody else and having that confidence is a big mountain. And you kind of talked about it yourself a little bit with some of the things you've been trying to do. It's
Oh yeah.
it, maybe you sound pretty good in the shower singing something, but if somebody overhears you doing it, then you're mortified.
Yeah,
You're like, oh no, I didn't want anybody else to hear this sort of thing. Um, this medium is allowing so many people to show off what they got. And with the avatar, it kind of gives them maybe that little extra security to do it. Have you kind of found that out with yourself?
yeah, I would say so because as I kind of mentioned once before picking up VTubing, I have had an interest in starting streaming for a while.
Yeah.
And one of the things that really kind of held me back or kind of stymied me in terms of figuring out a medium for how I want to do it is I have I do have a lot of like self confidence, and like I'm very self conscious of how I look.
Hmm.
I've been very open in past streams that the reason that you know because the one question that I'm willing to bet most VTubers have gotten, especially bigger ones, is like, are you going to do a face reveal? And I've been very upfront with the fact that I very, very unlikely that will ever happen publicly.
Yeah.
Just because of how I view myself and I not being happy with that. But being able to go into VTubing and having, the avatar behind that, to me, it has given a way of being able to put myself out there in a way similar to that of people who, just have their webcam up and streaming with the green screen and all that.
Hmm.
It has being not only is it being able to give myself a representation on those screen to other people, but it is to me, and the one thing that I think that is the greatest thing about VTubing is that it allows for a level of self-expression that you cannot find in damn near any other streaming media.
Oh yeah.
Because you can look, I looking through this Discord channel. that we do these interviews in.
Yeah.
You can go through that entire list and you see dozens and dozens and dozens of different models, different styles, different looks, different applications of things. And, it gives people that extra length of self-expression that you can't really get much anywhere else because you're going to be, physical bodies have limits, things like that. And you
Mhm.
can get really unique with things.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, I mean, obviously for me, with, just going forward toward my own model, you know, I have more than one eye in person, but with my model, it has a very distinct look. It's one eye, not having really a defined face, simpler outfit.
Yeah.
Those are, that's how I can represent myself now. And, in the future, whenever I'm able to, have a different model, I can take bases off of that and then turn it into something completely different, but it still be my own identity.
How many
And you
eyes do
see
you
that a
have?
lot with different outfits and so on and so forth. It's just the way of expressing yourself through the medium is just almost boundless
It's
to me. And that's one of the things I like about it.
it absolutely is. But I need to ask you, how many eyes do you actually have? Like three,
Are
four,
we talking
five?
in person or
Well, you said you had more than one. I'm like, well, I hope that's two.
it is two. It is two. I do have two eyes.
and
Don't worry.
and
It's
extra one hanging out there. Like, okay. No, but
I will phrase it like this. If I have more than two, I've not found any extra yet.
well, it'll be a surprise when you do. Uh,
It'll be a surprise to everybody.
everybody. But really, I understand what you're saying. People have told me that they get a chance to be themselves more by not being themselves.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's that's essentially it because it's like a lot of people, again, they have, whether it's like they don't want to be on camera or they just, whether it's like you know, maybe body image issues, which I have heard a lot, is someone who is falling into that category as to why they've gone into it, or simply it's just like they don't want their face to be on screen for personal issues or identification issues.
Right.
There's a whole reason as why you can not want your actual self there.
Mm.
And then, if you say, okay, don't want my face on camera, you have a few options, but if you decide to go the VTubing route, it's like, okay, then now you have this level of control over how you do get to present yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you can be as constrained or as off the wall as you want. And it's to me, I think that's a really cool thing because, it's being able to look at everyone's models, ones that they've had their own hand in, the gimmicks that come with each model,
Right.
these being things that they've picked out for themselves. It's like, oh, wow, this is so cool. Like, I would have never thought of that.
Mm-hmm.
And just seeing everyone's creativity from it and, using this creativity to represent themselves, how exactly they want to do it is, I don't know, it's such a cool, it just makes me be glad that I've chosen the medium that I have chose because I get to be surrounded with all of these like unique individuals who have their own level of creativity and their level of creativity that they want to exert.
Yeah.
And it's just such a cool thing to be around.
Yeah.
And it's inspiring to see people do it too.
And that's one of the reasons why I'm doing these interviews is because there's so many people with different ideas, different backgrounds, different talents, but they're all doing it in this medium.
Yeah.
And different types of you've got people who are doing cooking streams, people are doing other type of hand cam streams, people doing music streams, art streams, games that I've never heard of streams, or just talking. I mean, there's
Yeah.
so many different things, and so the variety is there. If you can't find something to watch, you ain't looking, uh,
Exactly.
because something's going to catch your fancy. But with that, some people aren't able to do a good life balance with it, and they
Mhm.
get burned out pretty quick, or one side or the other, their on screen and off screen starts to suffer because of it. Have you had that problem?
I have. I will be the first to admit it. In fact, in this year I've been doing streaming alone, I've had to take two relatively lengthy hiatuses
Mm-hmm.
for their own different purposes. back in May, I took about a month break off from streaming.
Hmm.
As just to kind of, I don't want to get too deep into it because it's not the most fun story in the world, but at the start of May, my grandmother had passed away,
I'm sorry.
and she was someone that I was very close to.
Hmm.
And, in the wake of her passing, I found myself just trying to force myself get back into the routine that I had,
Right.
not just with streaming, but with my, with my IRL life with work. And it had just, I was not handling it well.
Oh, yeah.
And so I had the wherewithal. I was like, okay, I am not in good shape. I'm not handling things well. I need to take a step back. And for that, I took about a month off, and I came back because I had a pre-planned like week-long charity event that I was organizing and running for Pride Month. So, so my mindset there was like, okay, I'm going to take the rest of the month off, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to be ready for the Pride Month thing that I had organized.
Right.
And everything went pretty well with that, and I was getting back of the swing of doing more regular streams.
Hmm.
And then come September, I had things had kind of changed with my job in
Yeah.
some aspects to where, I was getting burnt at both ends. I
Yeah.
was doing 4 to 5 streams a week, and I was just, I was miserable
Hmm.
for in a lot of different ways. And I definitely felt that starting to come across on my streams too.
Yeah.
And to me, as a streamer, that is the absolute last thing that you want to have happen is, at least for me, is you don't want people to come in and, because a lot of people come to watch my streams, and a lot of, other VTuber streams, other streamers streams
Hmm.
as an escape. Get away from their own things to get some enjoyment,
Right.
and the different medium outside of like their day-to-day lives.
Right.
And I don't want my own day-to-day life to be impacting that
No.
for other people.
No.
So in
It's a filter.
September,
It's a filter whether you want it to be or not.
it
It.
is
Yeah.
exactly. And it's something that I feel like some people are not quite cognizant of all the time, but that's also just that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But it is so at the start of September, I said, look, I've got to find a new job because this is just not working for me, and
Right.
I'm burning myself at both ends. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to come back when things are a little bit better in my personal life.
Yeah.
And I ended up coming back in mid October, I think, is when I came back there because because I guess for a little extra context is I'm where I'm from, where I grew up IRL, got hit very hard by Hurricane Helene.
Oh, yeah.
So I organized that was the 12-hour stream I talked about earlier. It was a 12-hour charity stream that I was doing for Hurricane Helene relief.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I came back to do that, in, in early October, and then I took another couple weeks off after that, and I was like, I'm ready to get back to streaming because I had just accepted a new job. I was getting into the swing of things with it, and I was like, you know what? I feel like things have calmed down enough to where I at least want to try
Yeah.
streaming again.
Yeah.
And that brings us to now to where I've been streaming on a more limited schedule than what I used to. I'm mainly doing 2 or 3 streams a week, other than not the 5 I was doing.
Right. Right.
Just because I want to be able to. I don't want to have to go on hiatus again.
Right.
And I've noticed that the more streams I try to push in, on top of working 40 plus hours a week, it's just like I burn out
Yeah.
at some point. It's because it's happened twice now.
It
So
sometimes it becomes more of a job than your job.
yeah,
When you
it
did
does.
something and
I definitely think so,
yeah.
especially depending on what kind of attitude that you take towards streaming.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, you know, I had this moment of realization. It's like, I want to be able to keep doing this, but in order to keep myself sane,
Hmm.
a change has to happen. And so I've pulled back my schedule a little bit. And so far it's working really well.
Yeah.
I think that 2 to 3 a week is kind of the hot spot in terms of numbers.
Yeah.
But
I
it
mean,
is,
I called you all sorts of names for doing the 12-hour stream earlier, but when you're doing a 12-hour stream for charity, it's still crazy, but at least your heart's in the right place.
yeah, no, Yeah, it's all of my longer streams have been for either a charity or a milestone of some sort. So
Yeah,
I'm not pulling them off. I'm not, I'm not doing a 12-hour stream every other week
yeah,
because if I did that, I would probably lose my mind.
yes,
But
yes. Well, what are you gonna
again,
do
all
for?
respect to those who can.
But what are you gonna do for the year anniversary? You got anything planned?
I don't know yet. It's I'm hoping to get something planned. I want to do something with my friends. It's probably not going to be anything huge.
Yeah,
I did have some big ideas, but they've kind of had to be pushed back a little bit
mm,
due to a variety of reasons.
yeah,
But I think I don't because I know a lot of people love to do something like huge for 1 years. I think what I want to do is I just want to do something with my friends,
yeah.
and
Well, that
because they're the ones that have gotten me to have helped get me to this 1 year point.
yeah.
They're the support that they've given me and keeping my head on straight and being able to hang out with them. They're the ones who have gotten me as far as I have. So I want to do something to where I can celebrate with them.
You're so humble. It makes me angry. Stop it.
I appreciate that.
Stop being so humble. No, I'm serious. It is nice to be able to not just have the support, but be able to recognize them too. And but you got to realize that you've helped them too. I mean, they just
Oh yeah.
people don't just do things. Although it would be nice if they did just do things and you don't contribute back to them, unless you're like
Yeah, it's a
married to me, in which case you don't get anything back.
oh well.
the, the wife
Yeah,
knows
they
about that.
it's I'm sure I'm sure she gives back. You give back, don't worry.
Yeah,
But but yeah, I mean, I've had my friends tell me, how I've contributed to them, and it's like I admittedly I don't take compliments well.
yeah,
So, when they throw that at me, I kind of shut down.
yeah,
It is I'm grateful for the people that I have, especially in this circle, because you see, especially if you're online a lot,
yeah,
you see people having these bad interactions with all sorts of different streamers, and it's not to say that people like that don't exist, but because they very much do. I have seen it, but you get these. I like to think that those situations where things like that happen aren't the commonplace,
yeah.
because I've gotten to meet dozens of wonderful, wonderful people
Hmm.
in the year I've been doing this, and it's just been I have nothing but great things to say about a lot of the VTubers that
Yeah,
I've gotten that I am now part of their community, and now that they're part of mine. It's they have no I'm so happy with the people I've met
yeah.
and the people I've gotten to know. There's so many wonderful people in this scene. It's and I do again I just said it, but I do feel like sometimes that gets a little forgotten amongst certain people,
Well,
just
it's
because the noise from
yeah,
others
yeah.
can be pretty loud at times.
Absolutely. That's very very true. And see the troublemakers are usually the loudest. Uh,
Oh,
and
100%.
no, in that situation, then the loud overcomes the majority in too many instances. But as far as your chat community, building that up, has it been easy? Has it taken a while? And what's your relationship with chat right now?
It's definitely taken a while. I mean, you'll probably, I mean, as with a lot of smaller creators like myself, it's, sometimes you're able to strike up a pretty busy chat community
Hmm.
quickly. Sometimes it takes a while. I'm just now seeing that I'm starting to have semi-active chats like in these last few months.
Hmm.
And it is, I have my fair share of regulars who have been here for almost the entire year. I've had, obviously the friends I've made that pop in. And, I have new people coming in almost every day. And I would say again, I have a very casual relationship with my chat. I'm very much, as you may have discovered during this, I'm very much like a conversationalist.
Oh, but just
And so that's
that's
how,
fun with me. I like
I
that.
kind it's I'm very much I very much of a conversationalist, so I like to that's kind of the way I talk to the people who come in my chat is I try to strike up a conversation, which sometimes can be a little difficult, from voice to text,
Hmm.
trying, because you could always there's always a possibility of misinterpretation and things like that.
Right.
But it is to me that's the way that I've kind of like how I've structured things because people can come in, we just have a little bit of a chat. They can laugh, they talk, and I'm able to strike up conversations with them as they come up, and it's nothing, it's a relatively casual thing, and which
Yeah.
is what I was hoping to kind of strike with my streams is I want something where people can come in, they can talk if they want to, they can lurk if they want to, and I can however they want to consume the content I'm putting out, if we
Yeah.
want to use the technical phrases,
Right.
however, it can fill multiple different roles. So
Yep.
it is, so, the people that come in chat, I think the ones that are coming in regularly are often, responding to things I say, talking, to me like it's a back and forth,
Right.
which I like. I'm happy with that.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was on the radio, I always um, went by the adage there people are inviting me into their house or in their car or in
Yeah.
and you be a good guest. You be conversational. You try to you can be silly and act up all you want, but if you're talking to them, you talk with them and not at them. You talk to people, and if they're listening, if like you and I are talking, we're having a good conversation. But people, when they're listening, they're hearing a conversation, and hopefully they're being a part of it. They're interested in it as well. When something is one-sided or something is, you know, acrimonious or something along those lines, um, you end up with a fractured audience, and that's not always a good thing. Sometimes it is, if that's what you're going for, but those stars tend to burn out pretty quick. Um, and to me to build up some type of following, uh, you want to be as comfortable as possible for people. Um, and now that you've found that, and you've got some people now who are actually uh, who are coming back again and again. They're kind of scheduling their lives about around what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And it's an honor to have that
Mm-hmm.
too. And, because I've mentioned, being aware of, what my space in people's lives, wanting to, wanting people to come in and, consume what I put out, no matter whatever makes them most comfortable.
Right.
But you have a good point in that no matter what, no matter what it is that, no matter how they're doing that, they're still making their time to be within my community.
Mm-hmm.
They're still making their time to watch me, listen to me, interact with me. That's something, what they're doing in my community is something they could be doing anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
They could easily be doing that with other streamers. They could be doing other things just IRL.
Now they could be
And
streaming
so I
themselves for crying out loud.
Yeah, they could be streaming themselves. They could be doing anything.
Yeah.
So, and that's something that I try to teach myself early is the idea that, these people are coming to watch me. They're taking their time out of their day to watch me.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, again, I mentioned the escapism that people tend to look for in streams sometimes.
Yeah.
I look for that myself with what when I'm watching my friends, bigger streamers, smaller streamers, total strangers. I'm looking for, I'm looking to kind of get away myself there. So, I've always tried to create an environment where people can come in and talk if they want to, and, be able to talk with me about things that, whatever they have going on in their lives, have something where they can, have somewhere where they can go and they can be comfortable,
Right.
it being a casual environment, and, they're not expected to, talk or chat if they don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, I'm just happy to have people come by. It's, I'm well aware that I'm not owed anything, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a
It,
that's a good That's a good.
I'm just happy to have people come by.
Yeah, that's something that I think most streamers have realized that the folks in the chat don't owe you anything. They're there because you're doing it, but you you had that with your own schedule here earlier, frankly, where you ran yourself to the point where you're ragged with it, and I imagine somewhere you felt like you owed people to do those 5 a week, and you're stretching yourself out whether you want to or not. You don't owe it to them. You owe it to them to keep yourself healthy, and come back for that if you owe it people anything at all. And I'm glad that I'm sorry you had to go through that to find out, but it seems to me you got your head on pretty well straight as far as this goes now, and you're in a pretty good place.
I think that in the year I've been doing this, I'm in the best space with this mentally that I have been.
Mm.
And I mean, and you don't have to apologize with what I've been through, because it is, while, they were events that, in the moment they were not fun to go through, whether it be losing a loved one or just going through general job stress,
Right.
those are, obviously in the moment, those, it sucked. It sucked so bad.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be
But
good.
yeah, it's just how it is.
Yeah.
But, the way that I like to look at things, and the way I look at things to make myself stay sane, is these things happened for a reason. And the best thing to do is, now that it's done, to pull something from it.
Mm.
And I very much did think at the start, I owed my audience to be able to be streaming so often. And it took a lot of talks with my friends, who are also part of my audience, to help kind of get into my mindset that I have now. And that, as you said, the people who watch me on a regular basis, they would much rather me prioritize my mental health, my health in general, than to go and just put myself on the grindstone every night for 4 to 5 hours a night.
Yeah.
And to pump all this content out, because some people are built for that. And I respect the hell out of those who are, but I'm not that person.
Yeah.
And so it took some time to figure that out for myself. And I think, people who are on similar situations, it takes a little time and self-reflection to do that too, because it's like, some people, they may get that feeling of being burnt out, but they're like, hell with it. We're going to keep going.
Yeah.
We're going to, pedal to the metal. We're got to make this happen. And the way that I see it is that, of course it's not up to me, however people handle their streams is how they handle it. But if I were to have done that, then there were times that, like, I kept trying to do that, and it came to the point where I was like, hell, I don't know if I want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
More than once have I considered a graduation within under a year.
Oh.
And it just now got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm happy with how things are. I'm happy with where I am on this.
Well, I'm happy that you came on with me, and we got a chance to meet and talk about what's going on here. And folks, you got to check out what Jacobsite's got going on. We're gonna have the links in the description for this interview. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing that with us. We'll get you on again soon after you've reached that 1 year graduation mark. Well, graduation, I'd say. Now, that's a bad word to use. 1 year historical milestone. I'll put it that way.
Yep. 1 year streamiversary, I think most people call them.
Yes, and
it's but yeah, it's thank you for having me on. This has been fantastic. I've had a great time. It's
me too.
I will, if you want to have me on again sometime, I'd be more than happy to do so.
Well, I appreciate it. We will get you on again here soon. Folks, check out what Jacobsite's got going on. Again, those links are in the description. And thank you so much for coming on again. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to Eric Loy Interviews. Join us again next time when we talk to another member of the always interesting VTuber community.